Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into my top 5 best teams for the Weather Cup Ultra League Edition. Now, at the time of recording this video, the Weather Cup is set to drop later on this week, actually tomorrow, at the normal times that leagues typically reset. And as the name implies, it is the Weather Cup, but only at the Ultra League format, which is a max CP limit of 2,500. And only fire, rock, water, and ice types are allowed in the Weather Cup format. So we've had this for the Great League format, so it'll be very interesting to see it at the Ultra League format. It is a relatively broad meta, so it's not going to be too bad, especially for those of you who might have grown a little stale on the Open Great League, which is the league that it will be accompanying. So if you're tired of OGL, you can hop into the Weather Cup Ultra League Edition to mix it up a little bit, and we've got some very solid teams for that. So without further ado, let's dive into team number 1. All right, guys, here we go. Team number 1, and it leads with Credili on the lead, Jellison on the safe swap, and Tentacruel in the back to bring it home for you. So this is likely the best team that you could possibly run in the entire meta. And it happens to be an ABB style team, which says a lot. Let's have a look at this scorecard here and look at that. Almost straight A's all across the board. This team is quite powerful. So if you want to get ahead in the Weather Cup Ultra League Edition and you have these 3 Pokemon, you might want to consider this one. We get an A for coverage, B for bulk, A for safety, and an A for consistency. Let's have a look at these matchups here. So very, very strong coverage across the entire meta. Credili right now is ranked number 1 overall in the entire meta, and that is just because it has grass coverage and rock coverage, and that covers pretty much the entire meta. That's why it's ranked 1, and it's pretty bulky, about as bulky as Jellison. They have very similar stat products, so if you're familiar with how bulky Jellison is, that can also be applied to Credili, making it quite strong, and we are leading with it. It will have maybe one issue on the lead, to be realistic, and that would be Abomasnow, but again, Credili has the ability to fight back against Abomasnow. You do have an amazing answer to it in the back. So what you could do is, that will of course be starting out in the 2 shield. You can look to pressure a shield and then safe swap into Tenta, because Jellison up a shield. Once you get that shield, you don't have to be concerned about it finding its way to Jellison. It has to land an energy ball, actually 2 energy balls, to have any hopes of winning that. So as long as you can pressure that shield, you're safe to swap out and mix it up a little bit up against an Abomasnow lead. And Sandslash, that's another tricky one on the lead to encounter. It just outpaces you, and you can only hit it for neutral, but it can only hit you for neutral as well. Your best bet is to go for those stone edges, because again, it is part ice, so it is taking neutral damage from stone edge with stab. And yeah, I think you would want to stay in and just soft lose lead on that one, play out the zeros. If you can grab a shield, that's even better. Then you can look to come in with Jellison. As long as Tentacruel has a shield advantage, it should be fine up against a Sandslash. So you stay in, soft lose lead on Sandslash, and everything else is pretty straightforward. Kingdra, you do lose to Kingdra in the 2s, and of course Poliwrath as well, so those 2 you're swapping out just as fast as you can. And the Jellison, by the way, Jellison is the dedicated safe swap. So that is team number 1. Very powerful, again, probably the best team you could possibly run in this meta, and it leads with Credili on the lead, Jellison on the safe swap, and Tentacruel in the back. So that is team number 1, and with all that said, let's have a look at team number 2. All right, moving right along into team number 2, another very strong team for this meta. We've got Swampert on the lead, Abomasnow on the safe swap, and Credili in the back. Again, another ABB style team. If you can put the only 2 grass types in this meta on a team, well, there is one more. There's a Ludicolo, but not likely you'll see those. So effectively the only 2 grass types eligible on the same team, you're going to be in a good spot. You just want to protect those from fire, of course, and the counter users, but we'll get into that. Let's have a look at this scorecard. And not bad, almost identical to team number 1. The only difference is instead of a B for bulk, we get a C for bulk, and that is quite all right. Everything else is all A's: coverage A, safety A, and consistency. We get an A, so very strong scorecard here. So Swampert has, believe it or not, actually has play all across the board in the meta. There are a few like a Credeli or an Abomasnow on the lead that you're going to want to get out of there on into your own Abomasnow. Pelipper can also be a bit of a problem, but everything else, Swampert has strong, either I would just say neutral play because it doesn't really hit anything for super effective unless it's a rock or a fire type, which I don't think we'll be seeing too many of. But you do want to have protection from those because obviously both of the two Pokemon in the back want nothing to do with a strong fire or rock type, particularly Abomasnow, but Credeli does have play against those. So yeah, basically any grass you're swapping out on, everything, and Pelipper, everything else you can hang in there. I do anticipate seeing quite a bit of Tentacruels. If you happen to see a Slowbro, you can swap out of that as well. Both of the back two Pokemon have solid matchups against a Slowbro lead. A Pokemon like Kingdra, you'll want to be a little bit careful of. I would hang in there a little bit, look to either do big damage with an EQ or grab a shield before swapping out of that. And everything else in between is pretty straightforward. ABB guys, it's pretty easy. Neutral or losing leads or swapping out. Draw out that hard counter, come back in with your lead, which would be Swampert, take it out, clearing the way for your back Pokemon. So that is team number 2. Swampert on the lead, Abomasnow on the safe swap, and Credeli in the back. So with all that said, that is team number 2. Let's have a look at team number 3. All right, here we go. Team number 3, another very solid team. We've got Sandslash on the lead, Jellicent on the safe swap, and Tapu Fini in the back to close the game strong. Very solid team. Yet another ABB style team. Are we seeing a theme here, my friends? I've said it many times on this channel. The key to success in these limited metas is a good ABB style team. So that is exactly what we have thus far on this list. Let's have a look at the scorecard. Very good. Not bad. Not bad at all. We get an A for coverage, B for bulk, B for safety, and an A for consistency. Very solid overall. And Sandslash on the lead is going to be quite good, guys. It beats the 2 grass types in the meta, as well as the 3rd, which I'm not sure how many XL Ludicolo you guys are going to see. I'm not going to doubt that you will see one, but it's much more likely that you'll see Credeli and Abomasnow. So yeah, Sandslash handles the grass types, and with 2 water types in the back, that's exactly what you'll want. My only concern, or my major concern I should say, with this team is a Jellicent lead. That one is the one true core breaker to the entire team, but as I always say, one Pokemon cannot do it all. It's definitely going to take a team effort. The way I would tackle that is get it low. You'll want to come in with a health advantage, and I don't believe you'll want to come in with your own Jellicent because it's very likely that opposing Jellicent will have the energy lead, and you're just setting yourself up for failure there. So I would go for that bulldoze, and if they're really concerned, they'll shield, but it's likely that they won't. But what you really want is a health advantage for Tapu Fini. I think that's the only circumstance where you will want to utilize Tapu Fini as the safe swap, as Jellicent has much broader coverage, and that's generally what you want out of a safe swap. So that's how I would play the Jellicent lead, and everything else in between pretty straightforward with this very strong ABB style team. Alolan Sandslash has had a community day. I'm sure a lot of you have access to one. There are a few better times to run it than in this meta. So that is Team 3. Very strong scorecard. It leads with Sandslash, Alolan on the lead, Jellicent on the safe swap, and Tapu Fini in the back to close the game strong. So that is team number 3. And with all that said, let's have a look at team number 4. All right, here we go. Team number 4, another very solid team for the Weather Cup. It leads with Regice on the lead, Kingdra on the safe swap, and Swampert in the back to close the game strong. Let's have a look at this scorecard here. And pretty solid overall. We get that coveted A for coverage. That is what you'll want to be looking for. You want good coverage if you're evaluating any team. And we get Bs across the board for bulk, safety, and consistency. Very solid overall scorecard for Team 4. And let's have a look at the scorecard. So Reg Ice, I should say. Very solid, very strong. Overlooked a little bit, I would say. Has amazing coverage, has access to Thunder, which is a legacy move. And of course, Blizzard. And it's quite bulky, as very on brand for a Reggie. Quite bulky. One core breaker for this team is Alolan Ninetales with Charm, because that is the recommended fast move for it. Going to take a team effort across the board. Not across the board, actually. Kingdra can do nothing. It can land those Octazookas, but it will be melting away to Charm, likely before you can do any meaningful damage. So it's going to take a team effort. You're going to have to stay. If you encounter it on the lead with Reg Ice, you're going to have to stay in there, play out the zeros, get it as low as you can, then look to come in with Swampert. If they're really determined to put up a fight and start shielding, that's great for you, because it will have a health disadvantage, and hopefully Kingdra can come in and finish it off if necessary, if it comes down to that. But if you will lose lead in the zeros and in the twos, so it's not worth shielding. You will just want to come in with Swampert if you soft lose lead. Or I'm sorry, not the zeros, but if they start shielding, you will not want to shield. You want to preserve those shields, particularly if you're ABA weak, which you kind of are with this team. And that's about it, really. Kingdra can be a bit tricky as well, trying to get to that Blizzard, especially if they start shielding, but not as bad as a Charm A9. So team effort for those two, but everything else pretty straightforward. You should see some nice consistency with Team 4 overall, so very solid overall. That is Team 4. Reg Ice on the lead, Kingdra on the safe swap, and Swampert in the back to close it out for you. So with all that said, that is team number 4. Let's have a look at team number 5. All right, my friends, last but certainly not least, team number 5, another very solid team, leading with Jellicent on the lead, Kingdra yet again on the safe swap, and Regirock in the back. Let's have a look at this scorecard here. And not bad, identical to team number 4. We get that very good A for coverage, which is what you'll want to see, and we get Bs across the board for the rest of the metrics, that being bulk, safety, and consistency. So very solid, just as Team 4. Jellicent, very strong in this meta. Very, very strong. You just have to keep it away from the grass types. And there are very few of those in this meta. Although it can fight back because it does neutral fast move pressure and hits pretty, for some decent damage with those shadow balls with stab. Let's be real. It's no Trevenant. It's not hitting like that with those shadow balls, but still does significant damage with that move with stab. And you do want to be concerned with a grass type like Credeli or Abomasnow. If you're seeing an abundance of those on the lead, you might consider either leading with Kingdra or Regirock. This team is quite flexible, but the way I would play them if you do catch it on the lead is you just kind of have to soft lose lead a little bit, particularly with Abomasnow. They have to land 2 energy balls to take you out. All the while you will be pressuring their health and their shields as well with the shadow balls. So that's how I would play that out. Soft lose lead on Obama and look to come in with Regirock and play on from there. Even Kingdra has some play up against it, as it only takes neutral damage from Abomasnow. Credeli is a little bit of a different story. Hits a little bit faster with those grass knots. It does get to grass knot relatively fast on Jellicent, but again, it takes 2 to KO, and Jellicent can still fight back. So that's another one where you're kind of soft losing lead, looking to come in with Kingdra and play on from there. But everything else in between is pretty straightforward. Even something like an opposing Kingdra, that's another one that's a bit of a core breaker. So the 3 targets for this team would be the 2 grass types and Kingdra. Again, all of those you kind of have to just soft lose lead. And then in the case of a Kingdra lead, you're just going to come in with your own Kingdra and look to play on from there. Again, Regirock has play against it as well. And everything else is pretty straightforward. You're going to be winning lead a lot with Jellicent in the 2 shield. And that is what we are factoring in here. So that about wraps it up. That is team number 5. Jellicent on the lead, Kingdra on the safe swap, and Regirock in the back. It should be should be interesting, at least for the first few days. And if you get sick and tired of this meta, you can go right back to what you know in the Open Great League. Always nice to have some options. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.